This video will focus on how to install JMeter and the JMeter plugins. Before actually installing JMeter, let's talk about the previous requirements across all platforms. JMeter is a 100% Java application and should run correctly on any system that has a compliant Java implementation. This means that it can run anywhere you can run a Java VM. Today, we are going to go over the installation in Microsoft and Mac, but in any platform you can run Java, you can run JMeter. Now, let's look at the basic requirements. You should got a Java installed. It can be either JRE, Java Runtime Environment, or JDK, Java Developers Kit. Even though you can use JRE, it is better to install JDK. As for recording of HTTPS, JMeter needs KeyTool utility from JDK. Now, which version of Java do you need to have installed? The latest versions of JMeter, more specifically since JMeter 4, it needs to be Java 8 or Java 9. So for the basic installation, we are going to install Java 8, which is going to be underneath, and on top of that, we are going to install the latest version of JMeter. The optional additional, which are really kind of essential, are the JMeter plugins. So you have a stack here, you have Java, you have JMeter, and then probably you would like to install one or more plugins on top of that. We will start by installing JMeter on our Mac. For this, we are going to use Homebrew, which is a package that simplifies the installation of software on your Mac. The first thing you want to do is check the Java version on your Mac and make sure it is the correct version. If not, you will need to update or install the required version. Then we will use Homebrew with a very simple command, brew install JMeter, or with the option to install it directly with the plugins. Let's check our terminal and use those commands. So the first things we do is to write Java version, and this looks good for us. We have Java version 1.8, so we are good to go. Then we are going to type brew install JMeter, and Homebrew will download the latest version of JMeter. To run JMeter, we go into the folder where it was installed, and we run the JMeter file, which is located in the bin directory. Once JMeter is installed, this is the folder structure we will obtain on the JMeter folder. We can also check it on our installation. So we have the bin folder, which contains the JMeter script file for starting JMeter, the documentation, any extra file related. Then the lib folder, which contains the required Java library for JMeter. Inside that folder, we have an ext file folder, which contains the core jar file for JMeter and the protocols, and also a JUnit folder used for the JUnit library in JMeter. For Windows, you will also need to check the version of Java. Then you will need to download and unzip the JMeter from this website. So if we go into the JMeter Apache website, we can download the zip file. After unzipping the file, we will need to run the jmeter.bat file, which is located in the bin folder of the install directory. Let's move on to install the plugins. Remember, plugins technically are optional, but you really want plugins. If we go to these slides to see the commands to install JMeter, we could have done it through brew install JMeter with plugins option when we install JMeter. But there is a new way to do this. Before moving to the new way, I want to quickly show you how was the old style. So the old way of installing the plugins was to manually download the JMeter plugins from this website and manually unzip them and put them into your JMeter folder /sleeve/ext. And finally, you need to quick and restart JMeter. And this is kind of a manual process, and you need to decide which plugin you want to install and unzip them. If we check now the new way of installing the JMeter plugins, you need to go into this website and download the pluginsmanager.jar. So let's go to the website, the documentation, installation, and here we can download the jar file. Once this jar file is downloaded, we need to put that jar file into the folder /lib/ext, and then from the JMeter UI, we are going to enable those plugins. Now, in the new way, we only need to have one file copied into this folder instead of putting each of the separate plugins that we want to add. So let's go into JMeter, and if we click on Options, Plugins Manager, we will see all the plugins that are already installed, the plugins that are available to install, and if we have any upgrades. Now, this option, the Plugins Manager, will only appear in JMeter after we paste the jar file into the folder.